All right. Well, lesson 5. Today we're talking about the 7 agencies of personal religion. Today we're going to be discussing sincerity. Just to go back over the 7 agencies, we're not going to go into a lot of talk about them. We talked a little bit about sincerity last week. We talked about a new definition of prayer, a new definition of worship, a new understanding of study. What we didn't talk about was cooperation, fellowship, and completion. In real short, cooperation is the agency that you live to when you are making a decision to live your life according to the Dharma, okay, and your duty. So there's duties on different levels that you have on this earth, and the agency of cooperation or the agency of Dharma is where you're choosing to comply with the laws of spirit, the laws of nature, and the laws of mind. And that's what makes this whole journey so interesting, because sometimes those laws, you may know on one level, oh, I just want to spend all my days immersing myself in worship and connecting with spirit, because you understand on the law of spiritual nature, you resonate with truth. But then there's a law of nature and matter that says you better get your bills paid so you can have a shelter and take care of your health. So then you got to cooperate with that. And then you got the law of mind saying you are what you think about and you are what you attract. And so cooperation is living in alignment with all of those laws together, and Dharma. Fellowship is the agency of personal religion where you are making a conscious choice and action to spend quality time with other people who are on the same and similar journey. Some of this is study and fellowship, but fellowship in the idea of where 2 or more are together, to come together, to worship, to pray together, to study together. It is imperative in your journey of faith, because alone and by ourselves, it is so much harder to stay in truth, and it's so much harder to be truthful to ourselves. And today we're going to understand one of the tricks with sincerity is when you're by yourself, you can easily lie to yourself. But it's in the presence of others that helps us to be truthful and honest. And then the last agency of personal religion is completion. Some people call it integrity. Some people call it faithfulness or devotion. I like to use the word completion. And what that just means is just keeping the energy in your life, keeping the channels clear by honoring your commitments, by offering forgiveness to yourself, to other people, honoring commitments. It's a whole gamut of things that the underlying idea of completion is you're keeping your channels of energy clear. You're keeping the channel for spirit clear to come through you by not having any blockages, bad karma, unmet responsibilities, duties, and callings with other people in your life or yourself. And in my definition of completion, it's not just with other people, it's even with places, okay? You might have to get complete with the city you went to undergraduate college in. You might have to get complete with your time in the military. You might have to get complete with some energies from high school. You may have to go to a high school reunion so you can get a sense of completion so you can move on with your life. We'll talk about that more in detail, but the universe is always making it a necessity for us to get complete. And the reason why it's not for us to be humiliated, it is because in order for channels, in order for the blessings to come through us, in order for truth and values to come to us, in order for us to get more understanding, in order for us to continue our expansive growth, we got to have all of our channels clear. We got to have every energy in our life, all of our chakras clear, and everything's got to be clear by being complete. Okay, so we're going to talk about, so that's what I call the 7 agency. Nicole just asked me, do I have the slides up? Are y'all able to see the slides?
I can't see them.
I can see them.
Just the one of the 7 agencies are listed.
Yeah, that's all I have is the 7 agencies. Nicole, check your settings on your whatever you're using. But they are up. All right. So, all right, y'all all aboard. Let's go to today's sincerity. All right. So sincerity is truth telling. And my definition of sincerity was the act of being honest and truthful to oneself and other selves in such a way that oneself and others who need to know have the full opportunity to arrive at the most appropriate conclusion of your intention, thoughts, and ways of behaving towards them. I said that the true personal religious life is an ongoing journey of becoming more and more sincere. The thing about sincerity is when you make one act of being sincere, it requires and it makes it of necessity to continue to be truth-telling. And it opens up more and more avenues to be truth-telling. And hopefully you'll get a better picture of that definition today and a better understanding of how it's an ongoing journey. Sincerity, okay? It is the beginning. Sincerity is a little small seed, as I said, that when that seed has been planted and when that seed has been conceptualized, it is the foundation for transformative living. Change starts with truth-telling. Sincerity and truth-telling is a catalytic agency. It forces you into reliance on faith, trust, and assurance. The reason why I put sincerity as a chief primary agency of personal religion, because when you start telling the truth, when you start being honest with yourself, it will force you into praying. Okay? It's going to force you into praying and calling on a higher power. It's going to force you onto the spiritual path. Whether you want to be or not, you're going to start questioning what in the world is going on. It exposes the limitations of our human nature. It exposes our selfishness. And it forces us to seek not just a higher power, but it forces you to seek higher empowerment. Okay? It is truly a catalytic agency. And some of us have experienced a lot of times when once you decide to tell the truth to your friends or to people, you can't go back. Communication is reversible. And once you tell the truth and allow yourself to see something, it pretty much is over. The lies or the story. What would have been a great analogy here would have been, or the great illustration would have been from The Matrix. Do you remember the first Matrix when Lawrence Fishburne character, he told Neo, he says, take a pill, but let me tell you this, when you take this pill and your eyes come open, there is no going back in the Matrix, okay? And so sincerity is truly the beginning of transformation. That little small seed. This is actually a seed for the mustard tree. That seed in that person's hands become a huge, almost like the size of an oak tree. And that's the seed of sincerity. All right. Sincerity, it is an action. All of the 7 agencies of personal religion are actions, okay? The agencies are actions that you do to bring forth your higher truth, your higher values, and reinforce your personal relationship with those truth and those values. So the reason why I use the word agencies versus loyalty are they are the channels, the agencies are those things that help you put into place your loyalties to your truth and to your higher values. Again, each agency makes it a means for you to put into practice and you to live out the loyalties to your higher truths, your higher values. And sincerity is the action. It is a reflective moral choice. It is your choice to choose to be, to have absolute honesty and sincerity. All of the major transformational groups that have had consistently produced great results in changing people's lives. The early Oxford groups in the early 1900s that swept over the world and that led to AA. Their primary tenet was called absolute honesty. It was absolute honesty, and they would force anybody who came into their fellowship, they didn't force them, but the first thing that they would practice in their small groups was you writing down a list of absolute honesty with yourself. And once you start writing absolute honesties with yourself, how you've been unhonest, again, it forces you to have to look to spirit. That led to the creation of Alcohol Anonymous. And everyone knows the first step in Alcohol Anonymous is you admit I have a problem. And you come out of your denial. Step one of Alcohol Anonymous is allowing yourself, is the admittance that I have a problem and I am an alcoholic. All right. EST stands for Earnhardt Seminar Training. Has anyone in this group ever done the Landmark Forum or any type of the Mind Dynamics training programs? Sometimes they're done over the course of a weekend. Well, Earnhardt Seminar Training is very popular. The most popular one is called the Landmark Forum. It's very popular here in Atlanta. You may have heard people that went through it. It's a 3-day weekend workshop, very intensive. The basis of that program and the basis of that technology is truth telling. One of the first pieces of technology, and using their language, is you making a statement that allows you to state how you've been living inauthentic. And it gives you a choice to become authentic with your inauthenticity. So there's a statement or a phrase where you get to fill in your own formula and say, I've been inauthentic with this part of my life. But it's a chance to become authentic by stating your inauthenticity. And once again, once you start stating inauthenticity, whether if you have to state, you know what, I have been inauthentic with how much I hate my job. Once you start telling secrets like that to yourself, it creates a catalytic change. Over the most historical one has been the Catholic confession. You know, they have the priest in the booth. You go and you share your truth, you share your story, and once again, you are on your path to creating some type of change. And in the Protestant Christian community, we have that sinner's prayer, where you come and you lay out how you've been living unholy before the Lord. And they say that the doors of the church are open, and the preachers say, how do you want to confess your sins? And that sinner prayer is a statement that says, I've been living unholy, and I am surely just a sinner in the hands of God. But all of these things lead to major transformations in our lives. And so once again, sincerity is the beginning of making a conscious, reflective, moral choice to tell the truth. And it is a catalytic change when you start telling the truth to yourself. For those of us that have ever had to tell the truth about our sexual identity or some type of sexual secrets, once you start telling those secrets to people you love, you can't go back. You can't be like, well, I was playing. It's like, you got to live that stuff out after that. And you got to be ready to face. And it will make you rely on a higher power. Can anybody testify that when you start being sincere about yourself, your limitations, it's actually made you more spiritual or made you rely more on spirit? Amen. All right. So there's 5 levels of sincerity. Okay. The first level of sincerity, which is, again, I want to stress, it's an ongoing activity. Sincerity is an ongoing activity. The first level of sincerity is the truth to yourself about yourself, your intentions, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. It's the truth about your untruth, you know? All right. Level 2 sincerity is truth to yourself about another or others. All right. Level 3 is truth to yourself about your higher truth. And then 4 is truth about yourself to another. And then 5 is truth to another or others about the other, what they need to know. All right. Now, do you notice something very critical? And this may be, again, to help us understand our relation to other people. Do you see that out of the 5 levels, only the last level, only one level actually has anything to do with you speaking to another person? Okay. I want you to look and notice that all of these levels are all about you with you. It's only the last level that it involves you sharing truth to another person about their other. Now, a lot of us, most of the time, we can find it actually easier to go straight to number 5. And we really want to be quick to tell the truth to another about the other. But when it really is about practicing true sincerity starts with yourself, and it is a way down the line before you get to start talking to other people about truths about themselves. True sincerity is truly, truly, in every sense of the word, removing the beam out your own eye before you try to get the beam out of somebody else's eye, or the speck of dust out of somebody else's eye. Okay. We're all familiar with that parable, right? Or that statement that Jesus is famous for saying. He told his disciples, he told people around him, before you try to get a speck of dust out of your brother's or your friend's eye, first remove the beam out of your eye so you can know how to better get it out. Now, what that basically means, it sometimes that has gotten lost in translation. But if you ever grew up in the country or outside like I did, we were always getting dust in our eye. Especially like I grew up playing basketball on a dirt court. And on those dirt courts, dust is always flying in your eye, right? Or something gets in your eye. And one of the things, if you're going to help get something out of a person's eye, it doesn't mean like you got to get something out of your eye. The beam, meaning the sunlight, it's the sunlight. Like you got to tell the person, hey, get out of the shade right now. I'm being blinded by the light behind you. I can't see clearly. So I first have got to get that sunbeam out of my eye so I can see better how to get in your eye. And a lot of times we're blinded by revelation, which is light. And that revelation is so blinding us, we're not able really accurately to see first how to help our other friends out. So a lot of times when you get revelation, you first want to use that revelation on yourself, about yourself, and then at the very end, you can start sharing that truth to other people about themselves. All right, that makes sense to y'all a little bit better about get that beam out your own eye first and then see clearly how to get it to other people. All right, so let's talk about this evolving capacity of sincerity. Our capacity to tell the truth to ourselves is constantly evolving. Your full truth to yourself today may not be your full truth to yourself tomorrow. Okay? Some days, what I may need to tell a person today is really the best I could tell them the truth. All right? That is my ability, is I knew it. But tomorrow I might get a better understanding. I was like, I know I told you this yesterday, and yesterday that was my full truth, but today I got a more understanding. I got to tell you more information. It's always evolving because we're evolving and our understanding is evolving. And there are certain capacities that we only have that we can tell about our understanding of ourselves. All right. Someone last week asked about authenticity. Authenticity is the fruit and byproduct of choosing to live sincere. By you choosing a lifestyle of sincerity and by you choosing to tell yourself the truth, starting with yourself and committing to being absolute honest with yourself, it makes you become a person of authenticity. Okay? That is the fruit of how you become authentic. If you just try to become authentic because it is the trend and it's because that's what's popular now, that can actually lead you to becoming insincere. And right now, especially in our age, our new age world, our new thought philosophy, there's a lot of emphasis on being authentic. And I'm sure all of us can testify to people who are claiming to live authentic lives and they're just saying, I just got to be authentic. I'm all about being authentic. But there's something in us that makes them feel insincere, right? And we don't feel a lot of sincerity from them sometimes, even though they're saying, I'm just being authentic and keeping it real. But in the midst of that, we feel like, no, I don't know if that was your motive, right? So choosing sometimes to just be authentic because it is what is good and we understand it's a positive trait to have, it can lead to actually being insincere. Authenticity, again, is just a fruit of what happens in your life when you are making choices to be sincere and truth-telling to yourself. You just naturally become a person of authenticity. And it's something that other people will observe about you. But if you try to make authenticity your goal, you could end up being insincere. I would say set the goal to be sincere and let authenticity be what other people observe about you. Does that make sense to anybody? Any questions about that? Okay. All right. Also, it's about telling the truth. Sincerity and evolving sincerity is about telling the truth as soon as it becomes revealed to you. Okay? It is about telling the truth as soon as that truth is revealed to you. As soon as you get that revelation and you realize, oh my gosh, I really have been lying to myself. I really have been X, Y, and Z. Oh my gosh. You need to right then and there stop and tell the truth to yourself, or whoever you need to tell the truth to about yourself. You know what? I realize I have really been fake at work with my coworker. I got to go to work and tell her tomorrow, I really do not like Star Trek. I have been trying not to hurt your feelings, but I really don't want to have another conversation about Star Trek. Okay. I realized this weekend I've really been insincere with you. I do not like that show at all. Okay. So as soon as you realize you've been fake or been insincere, you want to admit that as soon as possible. All right. Let's talk about level 1 sincerity. All right. So level 1 sincerity is the truth to yourself about yourself. It is quite easy to lie to ourselves. It may seem like it's not. And there's sometimes you say we can't lie to ourselves. We really can't lie to ourselves, but we do lie to ourselves. It's easy to lie to yourself, but you're not ever really, really lying to yourself. Okay. And lying to ourselves is this, what happens is it comes about in the habit of ignoring the situations, other people, and repeated life cycles that comes to us and says, this is the truth about you. It happens from other people are saying it. It happens through things that's right in front of our face. And yet we create this lifestyle of ignoring it. And we feel like whatever the reason, we just choose to make all the other situations wrong, make other people wrong. And we end up lying to ourselves about ourselves, especially when the stuff comes right in front of our face. And so the level 1 really is about listening. It's about listening to the situation, listening to others, listening to what is in front of your face about yourself that you are not telling the truth to you about. What is coming from others that you are ignoring? Not just one person. But when you got a whole tribe of people saying the same thing to you over and over again in different situations, over different lifetimes, over different groups, and they're continually telling you this and you're continually ignoring it, it gets to a point, at one point, you're gonna have to say, you know what? All these people just can't be hating on me. You know, I might have a problem with my time punctuality, right? You may have to say, you know, I could very much be wrong about X, Y, and Z. I may have an attitude problem. I may be a pessimist. You know what? I might be the negative Nancy of the group, right? After a while, you just got to come to terms with telling yourself the truth to yourself. And it starts with listening. What is your repeated life cycles about your financial situation saying to yourself? Okay. What are your constant failures saying about yourself? This isn't to beat yourself up. This isn't for you to have like a sense of to be hard on yourself. It's just coming to terms and being like, you know what? I am not good with money. I do not have good forward thinking. I really do like to give into short-term gratification. It's not just the bad. It is also the good. To be honest with you, some of the things that we lie to ourselves about are our truths, are the good about ourselves. A lot of times we aren't telling the truth to ourselves, that what we are good at, what we enjoy doing. I remember I look back in high school and I had a teacher that embarrassed me in front of my students, you know, back when it wasn't cool growing up. When I was growing up, it wasn't cool to be smart. And it wasn't cool to like history. I loved history, as y'all probably can tell. And in U.S. honors history, I had like an A. I had one of the highest grades. And my teacher said, Addam consistently gets the highest grades in school. He loves history. Addam, you should be a history teacher. I was so embarrassed that she said that. And I remember looking at my friends like, no, I don't like history. I was just like, I don't like history like that. I was so embarrassed. I don't know why I felt compulsively to tell that lie to everybody. But the truth was, I loved history. It actually was my favorite class. And I felt ashamed to tell people the truth. I love history. And she said, Addam, you really should be a history teacher. You should go to school to be a history teacher. Or at least add that. I said, no, I'm going to be a film. She said, well, you can do both, but if I were you, you should consider going to school to be a history teacher. Now, looking back in hindsight, if I would have told the truth to that, I could see how that would have naturally been an evolving thing. I would have went to school and I would have enjoyed being a history teacher for these past 10 years of me struggling to find a job. But it started with that little lie there. I really remember like my friends laughing or something. And I looked at them like, I don't like history. I did. I loved history. And I'm sure there's a lot of examples that y'all can have. There's a lot of examples that y'all all can have regarding truths about yourself. A person telling you, hey, you're really good here. You should do this. Oh, wow, you're really good at that. Oh, you're such a kind person, or you're really good at this, or you love that. And you've denied that truth. And it interferes with your life calling, and it interferes with you finding appropriate career, vocations, and being around the right people. Can you see how that can happen, everybody? When you deny the good truth about yourself. So level 1 truth telling is not just telling the truth to yourself about the bad or the ugly, but it's really more importantly, telling the truth to yourself about the good in your life. When I do readings, a lot of times I hear females and they say, they're asking about having children. And I have to look at the reading and I say, do you really want children? Are you good with this? Like, no, I don't like children. Why are you asking about having a child? Well, I don't know. I was feeling conflicted. And it's like everything in their life was showing them they don't want children. They don't want to have children. But yet they had not come to that truth. And by telling that truth to themselves, it relieves them from some burden and some obligations and some pressure. So it's not just telling the truth about yourself about the bad, but it's telling the truth about the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right. Does anybody have any questions, comments that need to get clarified on level 1, telling the truth to yourself about yourself? Leslie, please.
I have a question. I recently accepted my truth that I talk a lot. So I have a lot of questions about. Now, what about like when the reasoning and justification of our truth? So like when you're saying maybe I'm poor with money, but then I know a lot of times in the spiritual community, especially, we could be like, well, I just live in the moment. I fully embrace the now. I don't, is that a part of the sincere? Or is that part of just what happens as you're developing and going through these different agencies? You're like, okay, well, at that level, yeah, I did believe that, but now I know better, so I do better.
That's a very good question. And right now we're in that you got to stick to the truth. And the truth, again, it's not to condemn yourself, but it is to be in the truth of what was really your intention of not holding on to that money. Okay? Because what happens is I do this all of the time. I'm bad with a budget. I take some money and I spend it here. And then when I realize that was a bad mistake, that's when I get spiritual. Well, I know that I have abundance. I know that there can be nothing that it can be limited from me. No, that is true. But my real intention was I did not want to deny myself in that moment of what I wanted. I wanted to reward myself. I was feeling very bad. I feel like I needed to pick me up. And in that moment, I did not think I was not being conscious with my spending habit. And what I realized is this: in that moment, when I do become sincere with that bad financial decision, it's in that moment that the universe then creates a channel to correct it. But when I am just, I have abundance or whatever, but it's truly about staying what is the real reason why, you know, you were spending that money? But it is a combination. Now, I do get to this. There is a part of that where you do want to tell the truth and be like, I am abundant, you know, but that can't be used to deny the fact that you have consistently spent money towards things that were not important at the time. It cannot deny the fact that you have taken what the universe is giving you to take care of your responsibilities, and you put it towards things that were not of a necessity. And in those moments, you have to be truthful and say, that was irresponsible of me to take that money and purchase that right when I know I had a phone bill due, right when I know I needed gas money, when I know I did not need that, I did not have the funding available to make that purchase. If you can be in that truth, then you're hired to can say, but I do know all things work out, and I do know the universe is abundant. But there is a sense of required necessity of being responsible with our finances. And so that truth telling may not happen in that moment, but when that phone get cut off and now you don't have that money, and now you're blaming the universe and you're saying, I thought the universe was abundant. Why is this happening to me? That's when you need to tell yourself the truth. You know what? I got to tell the truth. The universe, you are abundant and you did provide for me the means I needed to keep my phone on, but I made some irresponsible choices. And in that telling that truth, what I've noticed is that in that moment, I feel like I sense the universe open things up for me. Does that answer your question a little bit better?
Yeah, no, I see it also being the catalyst for prayer. No, just kidding, but to get to that, you know, the underlying. So like you said, it's an ongoing process and it's layered. So thank you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. Anybody else got a question about level 1 sincerity, telling the truth to yourself about yourself? Okay. All right. Let's go to level 2. Truth telling, the truth to yourself about another or others. Okay, so there's a truth that we know about others, right? There's a real truth we know about other people. It's the conclusions that we know we have arrived at. And then there's this narrative or this idea that we try to force ourselves to accept about other people. Okay, we have a family member. It could be a parent, mother, father, partner or spouse. And we just know that this person is not responsible with money. Let's talk about money, right? We know that. They have showed it to us over and over again. Other people could agree with us about it. But because we may say stuff like this, but this is my brother, this is my mother, and I should trust them, or whatever we tell ourselves, we should trust them, or whatever we hold. And we deny being to the conclusion of, I don't trust you with money. I don't trust you with finances. I don't trust you with my kids, whatever. I don't trust you to be responsible, whatever that may be. But we feel like, well, no, this is my brother. This is my sister. This is my best friend. We've been friends all these years. We've been whatever. And we're trying to continue to force that person in our life. Well, this is my husband. I'm married to them. I should be doing this. Or this is the person I started a business with. This is my business owner. But you got to get to a place where you got to tell yourself the real truths that you know are there. And usually it's like competing. And we have a tendency to lie to ourselves or deny the honest conclusions that we've arrived at about others. Their impact on us, their role in our lives, what we feel in their presence, the strengths or the weaknesses that we know. And again, this also isn't about the bad and ugly people, right? Sometimes you got to tell yourself the truth, and you got to be like, you know what? At your job, you got to be able to say, you know what? John really is the best communicator in our group. He really is the one with the best charisma. He really should be in this position. He really should be leader of this group. People really do respond to him better than they respond to me. And it's something you could be denying. You know, you may want to say, oh, people just love her because she dresses well and she flirts with all the men. No, you might have to get to where say, she really is just a better leader by far. So it's the truth to yourself about others. Again, this has nothing, level 2 has nothing to do with anybody else. It's not about you telling anybody else anything. It's just you making a reflective choice in your own mind, in your own inner self about other people. All right. You might, and I have this picture up here, this meme, because a lot of times when we're not telling ourselves the truth about other people, it makes us feel crazy. It'll make you go crazy, right? If you don't come to terms and realize, you know what, so-and-so is a narcissist. There is nothing wrong with me. You just got to come to the point. So-and-so is vain. They're a narcissist. I'm not crazy. I don't have low self-esteem. I'm not wacky. I had recently to tell myself some truth about some friends. I said, they're very materialistic. I'm not crazy because I value spirituality. I did not want to come to terms with the fact that some people are very, very materialistic in my truth and my conviction. And again, this is about your truth and your convictions. Okay. That you must stay in alignment with. Any questions about level 2 sincerity, truth to yourself about another or others? Okay. Some other examples is, again, these are positive and good truths. All right. It could be you need to tell yourself the truth that, hey, I'm really in love with so-and-so. They have an effect on me that I can't shake. Another truth about another person may be like, I am no longer in love with so-and-so. I am no longer desiring to be with them. But again, these are truths to yourself about another or other people. Okay? Y'all all aboard, or have I bored you all? All right? And please let me know if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to add. All right? Level 3 sincerity is the truth to yourself about your higher truths. Okay? You're not going to truly be able to experience the transformation that's available with truth telling if you're not completing this level. Without a context of higher truths or value, your sincerity can have a tendency to become a weapon of destruction instead of a tool of mutual transformation. Okay? It is very important that you make sure that you're completing level 3, especially before you get to that last level. Before you get to telling people truth about themselves, you want to make sure that you have been honest with yourself about you, yourself about the other person, and you got to be honest and be clear about what is the truth about your higher truths. For me, this level always checks me because there's a truth that I value here that is everybody is a mirror to me. Okay? So it's at this level that so much stuff gets checked, because at this level is when I stop to say, what is this person mirroring in their actions? What is this mirroring to me about me? What do I believe about myself is the higher truth? One, I am not this material body. I am not my feelings. I'm not my emotional reactions. I'm a spiritual being. What do I believe about other people? They're actors in my story. They're actors in my story playing the script that I've written for them. What do I believe about life? Life is a journey of experiences helping me to evolve and grow. What do I believe about the higher power? The higher power is loving and friendly and constantly giving me grace and mercy and new experiences. It's at this level here, whatever you're telling your higher truths, whatever your higher truths are, they check so much of the negativity that is required for the next levels. Without this level, when you start going to those other people, that's when you can get ugly and it can become a nasty battle. But if you are getting to this level in light of the truth that you're telling about yourself, in light of the truth you're telling to yourself about other selves, and then you tell what are your higher truths? Telling the truth about your higher truths. Well, I believe that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. All right. You got to begin to then tell what is the truth that I know before you can go on to level 4 or level 5. And you've got to stop and you got to constantly, what do I really believe that other people are in my life? Do I believe other people represent in my life? What do I believe about myself? Who am I really? In light of the fact I make bad decisions with money, in light of the fact that I love history. But what do I believe about myself? I believe that I am here to serve people. I am a vessel of God. I am a son of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a light being. Whatever your higher truths are, and this is where you get to express your loyalty to your higher truths about yourself, the higher truths about your other selves that's manifested in your life, the higher truth, what you believe about the meaning of life, and your higher power. And once again, you see, while without knowing and having higher truths and higher values and those things, it really makes it, it's going to be difficult to get transformation out of the next levels. And now you also can see having this agency forces you to put into practice what is your higher truth you believe about yourself. Because if you believe we all one and you all preaching oneness and you're preaching that you create your own reality and everyone is just an actor, okay, well, you need to keep that in mind before you go and respond to so-and-so the way you're going to respond to them. Y'all following me? All right. Any question, comment, need point of clarification for level 3 sincerity? Okay. All right, let's move to level. Here's an example of truth telling before we get to level 4. Here's an example of level 1. Even though I hate my job and I'm afraid of being homeless if I quit. Level 3, or I'm going to say level 2. Even though I hate so-and-so for making me always feel ugly about myself, Then level 3 is the higher truth is I am alone responsible for my life and my happiness. And I've been given complete freedom to choose to remain or stay in this job, relationship, and I am being guided and supported in whatever situation I choose. And we have not brought anybody else in this story. Again, there's this tendency we want to be quick to call up a person, tell them all about how we feel what we need. Please do these first 3 levels first before you start bringing in other people. You see how this makes sense and see how this can avoid a lot of drama and conflict if we did these 3 first? Because we could realize that, okay, you know what? Since I am the one responsible for this, since I am the one that is making this choice, let me just see what I need to do about myself first before we bring in other people. Any questions, comments about this truth-telling example? Okay. Level 4, the truth to another about yourself. So now at level 4, we involve another person. So this is now we finally are able to bring in another person. But guess what we're bringing them in about? We're only bringing them in to tell them the truth about ourselves. We're still not bringing them in to quickly tell them about themselves. We're bringing them in to tell them the truth about ourselves, okay? And here, it is not a required. This does not mean you tell them everything. Have you ever had someone disclose too much information to you and you like, I wish they would have never told me that about themselves? And you just there is a such thing as too much information. Humans cannot handle everything. There are certain things we just cannot handle, right? And this is what they need to know, all right? And what this means is you want to tell the truth about yourself that helps people prevent false conclusions or clarifies when you know this person do not have the appropriate conclusion about who you are and how you've been, and you know that therefore you need to tell them the truth. Because you know they have a wrong conclusion about my intention, my actions, and my behavior. And then you need to tell them because they need to know that. Again, this is about thinking inside yourself about yourself and saying, you know what, to be honest with you, this is how I'm really feeling every time I have to sit and watch Star Wars or Star Trek with you. I feel like my ears are bleeding. And even though I'm smiling with you, I am dying inside. And then that person says, oh my God, I didn't know that you hated that show so much. Well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. But you're actually doing more damage to them, because now they can be like, well, I really wanted to go watch it at the Geeks Are Us Club, but I didn't want to leave you here home alone. And you're like, no, go, please, go do that. And now you create such more of a harmonious environment. All right. And again, it's about what do you know about yourself in this moment to be absolutely true. Tomorrow it may change. And you might be like, you know, I was wrong. I do love Star Wars and Star Trek, whatever it may be. But it's what do you know about your moment? What do you know? What's the absolutely truth that you know in this moment about yourself that this other person may be wrong with? You know, I know a story one time about a child came out to their parents about their sexual inversion, about being attracted to the other sex. And the parents said, this is your truth today, and I'm going to accept it. But when it changes, make sure you still stay in truth with me, and it may change. And that person at that moment looked at the parent like, no, this is my truth. And sure enough, years later, they came up and said, Mom, I'm in love with another person now. And the person was like, you were right, Mom. Like, and the mom was just telling, yeah, I knew then 6 years ago, that was your truth today. And I accepted it in that truth today. But I also knew I didn't want you to feel obligated. You have to stay in that truth. But in that moment, that person was telling the truth. But it does change. So it's about what is your truth today that other people need to come to be at the most appropriate conclusion about who you are, your intention, your thoughts, and your behavior. Does everyone get the understanding of what it means in helping them arrive at appropriate conclusion and preventing false conclusions and not just telling everything? Any comments about level 4 truth telling?
I have a question, comment. So that seems to be like the big issue right there, that being able to accept what you know to be absolutely true, at least in this moment. I feel like a lot of people, well, I speak from my experience, you know, it's like you do the work to get to these truths, and then it's like, well, shoot, well, I just declared that as my truth. I don't want to go back and like, now I'm going to tell you this is a need to know because I don't think like that anymore. But, you know, you are dealing with those other paradigms. It's kind of what we were talking about the other day. It's like, and now people are coming to their conclusions. So you're like, okay, well, you need to know that's not who I am today anymore. I mean, I could go more into that, but that does seem to be like that issue, or like an aspect, an agency, whatever, of its own, that it's like it changes and that's okay.
Yeah. I read an article. Someone sent me an article yesterday about 5 signs that you're an extra smart person or intellectual smart leader. And one of them was your inconsistency. They said inconsistency is a sign of a smart, intelligent leader, because this person is constantly changing their truths, changing their mind, changing their opinion, because they're constantly realizing, oops, that was wrong. And it may appear inconsistent. Waldo Emerson, whom I quoted here, he had this quote that said, consistency is a demon of small-minded people, meaning basically that people trying to be consistent, that actually creates like it's a negative quality. Because when you start telling truths and you start opening the truths, and you will come off to some people as being inconsistent. And if you try to stay consistent, it will create insincerity. And he put it in his essay that the need or the attempt to try to force oneself to be consistent can lead to insincerity. And you can see right, Leslie? Because if you're trying to, like, I want to be consistent with what I said last week, now you're going to be insincere because that ain't your truth. All right. Anything else about level 4 truth telling? All right. Level 5. Oh, here I'm going to read this to you. Probably is too much, but anyway. This is Ralph Waldo Emerson. I feel like this is level 4 sincerity articulated. And I'll put in my voice. Say to them, oh father, oh mother, oh wife, oh brother, oh friend, I have lived with you after appearances up till now. Henceforth, I am the truth. I shall endeavor to take care of my parents, support my family, but these relations, I must do it in a new and unprecedented way. I appeal you from your customs. I must be myself. I can no longer break myself for any of you. And if you can love me for what I am, we shall both be the happier. If you cannot, I will still seek and deserve that you should love me for what I am. I will not have my taste or aversions. I will so trust that what is deep in me is holy, and I will do strongly before the sun and moon whatever rejoices me and my heart appoints. If you are noble, I will love you. If you are not, I will not hurt you and myself with hypocritical intentions. If you are true but not in the same truth with me, cleave to your crew, I will cleave to mine. I do this not selfishly, but humbly and truly. And it is alike your interest and mine and all of us, however long we have dwelt in lies, to live in truth. Isn't that so beautiful and powerful? Have y'all ever read that before? I'm telling y'all, if you haven't read Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay, Self-Reliance, you gotta have it in your book, in your catalog. Gotta have it and get those values for your personal religion. So anyway, that is a beautiful statement of illustration of that level 4 sincerity. All right, level 5. Finally, we get to level 5 that most of us jump to in the very beginning. Everyone wants to go straight level 5. Tell the truth to another about that other. Okay? But that's actually way down the list when it comes to practicing sincerity. And the truth to another about the other, it is, again, what do they need to know? When you are made aware that a person has arrived at a false conclusion about themselves, a false conclusion about their own potential ability, when you know they have arrived at that false conclusion, this is when you want to be able to tell them, hey, you need to know this. You consistently have not been faithful with doing a good job on this project. And we've been hiding this from you, but your work is just not humorous to us. All right, your jokes are not funny to anybody. None of us find your jokes funny. All right, whether or not, again, that's our truth. But we need to let that person know that at least they can go find another audience to tell their jokes to, right? It's not saying they're not funny. We're just saying, no, we don't find your jokes funny. And now we need to let that person know that so they can go find another audience. But this, again, it's not just saying, you know, oh, that outfit was ugly. Your hair is ugly. All these things. It is when we know a person has arrived at a false conclusion about themselves, right? When we know that a person is under a misconceived perception of how other people are dealing with them. We've all had those moments where we've had friends who have been misperceived someone's intention towards them with romantic interest. And we know the other person. And they're saying, yeah, I think so-and-so's into me because they did X, Y, and Z, or they said X, Y, and Z. And we'd be like, should I tell them that they did that to everybody? You know, or should I tell them or whatever? Yes, you got to tell them. You say, hey, I know you thinking this, but I need to let you know I think you're wrong about so-and-so. I am pretty sure that's not what they meant by that. Okay, I would think that you've arrived at a wrong conclusion. But there are things that that people truly need to know about themselves, truly need to know about themselves for their health, for their well-being, where they are not in truth with. And a lot of times it may not be well received. How they receive it is not part of your responsibility, part of it. What is a part of your responsibility is to be committed to sincerity and this agent of truth-telling so that you know, well, I think that you arrived at the wrong conclusion and I'm just want to share this information with you. Okay. And they may not like it, but if it is your truth and it's a truth that you know that they need to know, they may not like it, but years later, they will come back as time unfolds and let you know, thank you for telling me that truth. Thank you for letting me know about that. Any questions, comments about level 5 truth telling? All right. And we're 8 minutes over. All right, questions and answers. And that wraps up Agency 1, Sincerity. The 5 levels of truth telling. All right, any comments, questions, question time, comments, or anything for clarity about the 5 levels of truth telling? 5 levels of practicing sincerity, what it looks like.
So really, like, level 5, I mean, that almost, you know, it sounds like you're saying, like, a lot of people want to jump straight there, but it really is almost, like, really unnecessary. Like, I mean, it's like really, really, I mean, I don't know what you'd say, but it's like in case of emergency, break glass kind of thing, but it's really not so necessary, huh?
No, it's not. It's not. Most of the time, it's not. Again, not the part that says telling the truth about them to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not a lot of times. But then there are times where it really is an emergency, where you really have to let a person know you're in the dark about this, about yourself. But again, it's easier to do that, and we want to do that, but you will realize sometimes just doing level 1 resolves the need to do whatever. All right. Anything else about level 1? I mean, anything else about sincerity in the levels of truth telling? Comments, questions, anything you need for clarity? Phoenicia says, as a light worker and intuitive, number 5 is so challenging for me. I am struggling with a way to avoid 5 unless emergency. Phoenicia, you know, one of the wisest quotes of all times is always says, try not to offer advice and let us ask. And let me tell you, that is hard for me too. Gosh, it's hard for me. It's so hard for me. But boy, I also know at 38 years old, the wisdom of that. I have tasted the fruit and the wisdom of not offering advice until it is sought after. But there's a lot of wisdom in withholding advice until it is sought after, until it is really needed to be said. Especially as an intuitive. All right. Any other things, comments, questions?
Are these levels that you, like, when you say like level 3 is where you really like check and balance yourself? Is it like you go through these stages of like in identifying your degree of sincerity? I mean, do they fluctuate? Do you know what I mean? Or if you're feeling like I need to say something to somebody, it's like, okay, go through my levels, go through my steps. Or is it just kind of a thing that you're always thinking of and aware of, and they just kind of flow in and out? Is that making sense?
Say that again.
So when these are 5 levels of sincerity, you know, if you're, you know, sincerely trying to find what your higher truth is that more like, do you go through these as steps and stages? So it's like, well, first I want to identify, well, what are my thoughts and my feelings? And then I want to, okay, well, how am I presenting that to the others. Well, what's my higher truth actually? So is it like it goes through levels to get to the truth, or is it like
I suggest that. Now, here's the thing. Like I said earlier in other lessons, we've collected higher truths and higher values all in our journey. All right. But whenever you're in any situation day to day, it is first what I need to tell the truth about myself. Is there anybody else I need to tell the truth about? And then, yes, what are my higher truths I need to know or to bring into this or to talk about? If that answers your question. But yes, I would say kind of go on that level. Because it definitely starts with telling the truth to yourself before you even start applying the higher truths. Does that kind of answer your question, Leslie, perhaps? Or give some more clarity to it? Or
yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, that is lesson 5 today, sincerity. Next week, we'll be going in depth about prayer, but not just going in depth about prayer, but we will be working on our own personal prayer. All right. So it's going to be like a pop quiz. I was first tempted to tell you all to prepare for it. I was going to give you the worksheet so you could prepare for it and bring your notes in. But I felt I got instructed, no, make everyone draw a pun right now. What do they have stored in their heart about their higher truths? That you have to draw a pun for what's in you in this creation of your personal prayer. Okay? All right, well, I sure hope that y'all have received some value, some benefits of learning about this agency, which I call agency number 1, sincerity. I hope this answered any other questions that we may have had from last week about sincerity. And I hope that we will be able, hopefully we won't have too many issues this week with convicting ourselves about not being sincere. But hopefully I pray that we will have a lot of ease and grace as we seek to activate this agency of sincerity in our daily lives. Lord, have mercy on us. All right. Thank you all for joining. I thank you in advance for your PayPal or Cash App contributions and donations towards this ministry. Be looking for the video online. I'm going to text y'all. If you haven't seen the videos or the PowerPoints, I'm uploading them on my website, spiritandprogress.com. I'm going to type them in here right now. You can go to spiritandprogress.com and you'll see online Sunday school, and you'll see the videos and the PowerPoint slides, and continue to spread the word, share the videos, and let us help everyone create their personal religion, and let us embark on this journey of sincerity. I feel like it really will make you pray and lead you to rely on a higher power and higher insights. All right. Thank you all for joining. Have a great Sunday. Namaste.